So we all know that 2023 was a disastrous year for the Walt Disney Company. For those out there like Bob Iger, the executives, the board of directors, it was known as basically the flop era of Star Wars, Lucasfilm, anything to do with Marvel Studios, and among other projects out there associated with Disney. And 2024 kind of had a similar trend at that, especially with The Acolyte and everything else going on behind the scenes with Marvel Studios and among other divisions out there that Bob Iger is really trying to repair at all costs available, to no avail, by the way. It's not working out for him in the least. But focusing here on the ongoing issues between Ryan Reynolds and She-Hulk actress Tatiana Maslany, this is where things begin to escalate quite quickly, in the wake of the Deadpool and Wolverine drama. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So one thing about Bob Iger is that we know that he is desperately trying to patch things together over at the Walt Disney Company after many failures, one after the other, not just throughout all of last year, but some of which throughout 2024, and also, by the way, what looms for 2025. Now, this is where things begin to pick up because we know that Ryan Reynolds was able to turn Deadpool and Wolverine into a massive success for all the right reasons. He stood his ground, he took a stand against the Disney heads, with, of course, Sean Levy, the director, by his side. Even Hugh Jackman supported him. They all took a stand against Disney and decided to focus more on pure entertainment as opposed to an ideology. And that's why it made $1.3 billion worldwide, and still technically rising. It's still lingering in theaters, but interestingly enough, with both Marvel Studios and Lucasfilm considered the two most failed divisions at the Walt Disney Company, one significant development going on now has more to do with Ryan Reynolds and She-Hulk actress Tatiana Maslany in the aftermath of the Deadpool and Wolverine drama. Now, an important update now involves the drama escalating and reaching a new level between both Ryan and Tatiana after the Disney executives finally made it official that both the deleted scenes of She-Hulk and the behind-the-scenes footage of She-Hulk and her cameos in the film will not be included on the Blu-ray and streaming edition of this movie. It has all been finalized right now after multiple negotiations took place. Now, this created outrage and multiple arguments from Tatiana, where she blamed Ryan Reynolds for being sexist, apparently, behind the scenes, since she was banking on her recognition for BTS footage and her scenes to at least be included on the streaming version of the film and or the Blu-ray edition. This caused Ryan Reynolds to snap back at Tatiana Maslany just recently, and the tensions were so strong that it rattled throughout all of Marvel Studios and created further issues for Kevin Feige attempting to keep things under control. Now, this likely stems from the fact that Maslany views the MCU as her bread and butter, as the source of her actual career as an actress, and is begging Kevin Feige to make some form of a deal to bring back She-Hulk into the many projects that will feature Deadpool. Now, such as Avengers Secret Wars and Doomsday, just to lay out an example there. Now, Ryan, however, is opposed to this idea and already got involved in multiple arguments with Tatiana for pushing these ideas onto the Disney executives and Kevin Feige. After Maslany labeled Ryan as engaging in sexism at Marvel Studios for excluding characters like Captain Marvel and She-Hulk, this was basically the foundation of why Ryan defended himself and had some heated arguments that were very loud in a recent gathering with many MCU-related cast members that briefly involved Tatiana in a remote meeting that also included both Marvel and Disney executives at the same exact time. Now, guys, let me just say one thing about this before I move on. This is typical Tatiana Maslany. I mean, this is, what you expect out of many Disney hires, whether it's through Marvel or Lucasfilm. I mean, just look at what happened with Amandla Stenberg and that music video that she posted on Instagram that really mocked Star Wars fans and critics. So this is a very interesting development, the fact that now you have a lot of back and forth happening in different angles between Ryan Reynolds, Disney executives, Kevin Feige, Tatiana Maslany, about the future of the MCU, the future of She-Hulk as a character, and how they're going to really try to at least somewhat bring her back to a certain extent. Though Ryan is opposed to that idea, Disney is still on the fence about that, but Kevin Feige is willing to negotiate. Now, this is exactly why I'm not big on Kevin Feige. He either goes into desperate mode or damage control mode, or flip-flops, makes some false promises here and there, promises to actually do better things in the next couple of years, and then kind of begins to shift his ways eventually. You know, he's very similar to Kathleen Kennedy, maybe not quite as bad, but they are both friends, so not a big shocker there. Now, here's the big deal, is that we know that Ryan Reynolds is not willing to take part in any projects that engage in activism. We'll talk about that in just a second. And you know what? I think that we need more actors like Ryan Reynolds and Henry Cavill, because these two are willing to take a stand against studio heads, against executives, and are willing to actually do something for the fans, right? Focusing away from the typical Disney messaging. And that is one mission, by the way, that Ryan is on right now, is that he wants to basically fix the MCU. He wants to restructure it with Sean Levy by his side. They want to do away with all of the DEI nonsense, everything related to ESG, and everything that BlackRock, Vanguard, etc. caused through Walt Disney. Now, here's an interesting part, is that on top of this, the other reason why Reynolds is getting furious against Tatiana is that she is on a very persistent mission to convince Kevin to change his mind in order to bring back She-Hulk on the big screen for the first time in one of the Avengers films. Ryan has made it clear that if this happens, he will be backing out of the project, since he wants nothing to do with the films that engage in activism or cast members that do the same as well. Disney CEO Bob Iger also got involved and is beginning to actually beg Ryan Reynolds to show some kind of care for Tatiana and to make some kind of a deal to include her in at least one Marvel project that features Deadpool. Ryan is still refusing to do so, since she created many issues behind the scenes of Deadpool and Wolverine, which is why her scenes were axed altogether. So that's another thing, is that they want to have this duo, if you will, of Deadpool and She-Hulk breaking the fourth wall. Disney thinks it would be, you know, a very good thing in the MCU, that it would really work very, very well. And at the same exact time, Ryan finds it very difficult to work with Tatiana Maslany, as he learned behind the scenes of Deadpool and Wolverine, so I don't blame him for defending himself and standing his ground at all. What I will say is that whether or not this continues for numerous months and creates a lot of snag, if you will, for the production of many different movies, whether it's Doomsday or Secret Wars or anything else related to the MCU that's going to feature Deadpool and even other mutant era characters as well, by the way, that's where things begin to really get interesting and really begin to heat up. Now, again, like I've said before in the past, I would love to hear what everyone has to say about She-Hulk actress Tatiana Maslany, her stand on things, Ryan's defense on everything here. Where do you guys stand on all of this? And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, you know, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. Let me know what you guys have to say about all of this related to Bob Iger and the Disney issues, and I will catch you guys later.